Hey everyone, Liam here. Welcome to this match preview and prediction for the match between Joao Fonseca and Andrey Rublev in the first round of the 2025 Australian Open. Let's get into it. As always, if you enjoy the content on the channel, please like and subscribe. It really helps us grow the quality shot tennis community. Well, to be honest, I would say this is probably my personal favourite matchup for the first round of the Australian Open. I'm very excited to watch this one. Obviously, you've got Andrey Rublev, who's been sort of a mainstay in the top 10 for a number of years now, coming up against a player who really, had it not been for a few conversations here and there, we might not have seen at this level on the tour already. He might have gone the college route in Joao Fonseca. So it's going to be a very interesting match just because of the fact that you've got Rublev, who we know his 2024 season, how it went. It wasn't I would say the best season that he's ever had, but it wasn't the worst. I mean, you win a Masters title, you stay in the top 10, you make the World Tour finals, you can't call that a bad season, but compared to his standards of previous years, you could say the level did drop. He has been quite vocal about the fact that, he's been struggling with mental aspects in terms of, finding his purpose in life and what he wants to do, etc., etc. So it's definitely not easy when you're battling that in your own mind to get on court and give your best. He has said that he's played quite consistently throughout the year, and so sometimes that can also tire you out. But he has looked at, psychologists. He said that obviously Marat Safin has become more of a mentor to him and helped him sort of guide him in the right direction. So everything seems to be, moving and trending correctly going into 2025. He did obviously only play one match in Hong Kong and lost to Fabian Marozsan in a tight one, but realistically, even though it is a 250 tournament and Rublev should, as the number one seed, should be going through those, opponents quite easily. Marozsan, we know, is a tough opponent sometimes, and he can really just take the ball away from you with that forehand and also the drop shots. But when we look at his form during the off season when he was playing the World Tennis League, just playing those sets, he took a set of Kyrgios, took a set of Tsitsipas, Thompson, he was playing quite well and, just warming himself up. So I think he is looking good coming into the Australian Open, and I think mentally he is also sort of, become a little bit more zen within himself, which is a very good thing. He is going to be, he probably looked at the draw when it came out for the Australian Open and said, oh great, I'm going to be facing a qualifier, good first round, and then seeing that it's Joao Fonseca, he's like, it's not going to be as easy as you might expect when you see a qualifier next to your name. Joao Fonseca, as we all know, winner of the Next Gen Finals last year, amazing talent. He really has just been on fire. He's obviously, he's had to play quite a lot of matches coming into here. He's played, I think since the 18th of December, he's played 13 matches. Obviously 4 of which were sort of shorter formats, but still, quite intense at the Next Gen Finals, and won all of his 13 matches coming into the Australian Open, including the 3 to qualify actually for the main draw. It's going to be interesting to see because I think, I've made predictions on the podcast that you can watch on the channel with me and Alex, Kicking It podcast for anyone who doesn't know. I've predicted that he will be top 30, maybe even top 20 by the end of the year. I think he's a tremendous talented player. He's got all the weapons that you need in the game. He's just got that flair about him, and I think that he's going to really progress quite fast as long as he gets, into these tournaments without having to go through qualifying. And the more he does that, the more he's going to find confidence. Obviously, the level of opposition that he's had to play in these last 13 matches that he has played hasn't been top 10 level. So realistically, coming in against a top 10 player, what's the level at? But we know that he was a hitting partner for the top 8 players at the ATP finals, not in 2024, but in 2023, if I'm correct. And he was hitting, he was hitting with everyone, and all of the players had nothing but good things to say about him. And Jannik Sinner, as I mentioned earlier in the video, there's conversations that led him to change his mind from going to college tennis and going to actual pro tennis. He decided to go to pro tennis because Jannik Sinner said he believed that he was good enough to just make the jump already. And then we saw that in 2024, in Brazil, and making his name for himself. And I do remember correctly, if I do remember correctly, please someone let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, Rublev did practice with him at those ATP finals, and Fonseca was beating him in the practice sets that they were playing at the ATP finals. So, obviously Rublev isn't going to be going full lights out and practice against a kid who's just trying to prove himself, who's going to be giving it absolute everything. Rublev's trying to save his energy for the matches and, at the ATP finals and stuff like that. So you can't really say, oh, well, he's going to destroy Rublev, but you can say, okay, well, if Rublev does have a bad day, does have a bad set, does have a bad service game, Fonseca will be there to pounce. He's ready, he's energetic, he's motivated. I do think though, having played 13 matches coming into the Australian Open, now having to switch from a best of 3 set to a best of 5 set format in the heat in Melbourne, in very fast conditions, it's not going to be easy for any player to sort of find their rhythm in that. It's obviously his first ever big tournament where he has to deal with these conditions and that sort of change of landscape. So realistically, Rublev does have an advantage coming into that, having the experience under his belt. Will it be, a normal top 10 seed against a qualifier first round match? No. It's most likely going to be a 5-set match, in my opinion. That could go either way. It actually could go either way. I'm going to hold my hand up and, Fonseca could win this match. He could win this match in 3 sets. He could win this match in 4 sets. He could win this match in 5 sets. I personally think it's going to be a 5-setter, but I think the experience part of it and the fact that Fonseca's had to play a lot of tennis to get this far, maybe there will be a little bit of fatigue in the sense that, mentally he might be like, oh, this is a very big stage. I mean, we've seen the likes of Carlos Alcaraz win the next gen finals and then go to the Australian Open and lose, a tight 5-set match against someone of a top 10 caliber like he did against Matteo Berrettini all those years ago. But coming into this one, I think, Rublev will have that sort of advantage of that experience and the fact that he's had, a little bit more rest and sort of focus on trying to improve his game and his mental game as well. I think it's going to be a tight match. It's going to be the match of the tournament in terms of the first round matches. I think it's going to be 5 sets, and I think Rublev just gets over the line and gets himself into the second round. But I think as the season progresses and Fonseca gets himself into more and more tournaments and starts to perform well, these sort of matches could definitely switch more towards the Fonseca result of winning rather than, a top 10 player. You never know. I think he's an amazing talent and he's going to do very well in 2025. But for now, I think Rublev wins in 5 sets.